Good morning. It is 7:39 a.m. on Tuesday, April 28th, 2020. I am Christiana Ellis and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. So, I have discovered something that I sort of suspected. I have suspected in a general way before, but I'm pretty sure about now, which is that when I lie a certain way on the couch, where I'm on my side and I'm kind of propped up on my right shoulder, and I lie there for a period of time, it gradually causes like tension to move up my shoulder and eventually give me a tension headache on the right side of my head. And I don't say this because I want anyone to say, "Oh no, I'm sorry you have a headache. Hope you feel better." I mean, that's nice. I appreciate that, but that's not what I'm looking for here. It's more a matter of having it happen again makes me like, oh, I am pretty sure now that that's what's doing it, and I should not do that anymore. It's a position that sort of I have done for, like it's kind of, I've got muscle memory for sort of just instinctively lying in that position, but I suppose it's a little bit like anything, like when, as you start to get older, things work a little differently sometimes. Sitting crisscross applesauce on the floor um, for an extended period of time, it doesn't work as well as it did when I was, 17 or something. So, so I'm kind of stretching out my shoulder and taking some ibuprofen this morning, and I'm fine. So I'm, like I said, not looking for sympathy so much as I'm pleased to have observed a pattern and perhaps in a way that will allow me to modify my behavior so as to not repeat the pattern in the future. Um, but yes, so I was on the couch yesterday watching a couple of Paul Thomas Anderson movies. And he's a film director and writer. And I had recently been thinking about him because one of my favorite Twitter people and film writers is Film Crit Hulk, who has been talking about how he's writing a book about Paul Thomas Anderson, just because he has so much to say about it that it wouldn't fit in just like an essay. And I'm a big fan of Paul Thomas Anderson also. Even though I don't necessarily count every single one of his movies as one of my favorites, I think they're always interesting. And to be sure, some of them, I think Magnolia in particular is just really meaningful to me. I think I watched it at a time where I was really open to its message of how it's important to care about each other. That like despite the fact that we're all of us so different from one another, we're still all kind of connected, and that we still all kind of have this longing um, to be accepted or loved, and it's all messy and complicated, but that does not mean that it's not worth it. And actually, I kind of pulled that description out of nowhere. I'm not sure. Maybe I need to rewatch the movie, but I feel like that's kind of what I took out of it anyway. Um, but yeah, so I always really liked Paul Thomas Anderson movies, but because he's been tweeting about him, Film Crit Hulk has been tweeting about Paul Thomas Anderson recently. I decided to go back and watch Hard Eight, which was Paul Thomas Anderson's first like major feature. Um, which I had never seen before. It's one of only two of his movies that I had never seen. The other one is Inherent Vice, which I do plan to watch at some point. Um, but the Hard Eight is about a gambler played by Philip Baker Hall, who kind of, sort of adopts this other guy down on his luck, played by John C. Riley, and sort of, shows him, here's how you can kind of get by trying to do the gambler lifestyle in Vegas. And it's, not as flashy as you're thinking, but you can make it work as long as you're careful. And he kind of sort of adopts these broken people to take care of them, and and it's just mostly about this guy. And like sometimes the movie's even called Sydney because that's the main character's name is Sydney. But it's this really nice but depiction of just I don't know this character study of this guy who has clearly got some really bad stuff in his past that he feels bad about and has regrets about and is trying to do better and trying to take care of people and try to hope they don't make the same mistakes he did and that sort of thing. But he's also still kind of living in this world where his past is not entirely behind him. And despite his best intentions, he sees some of these people he's hoping to take care of making those same mistakes regardless. And it's was really, really good. And not only that, but it's kind of fun seeing Philip Baker Hall look the same as I've ever kind of thought of him, but with John C. Reilly looking so young, and Gwyneth Paltrow in there as this mess of a cocktail waitress slash prostitute, and Samuel L. Jackson's in it too, just a couple of years after Goodfellas, but certainly before. Actually, I take that back. When the timeline, this movie, yeah, I think this movie would have been after Pulp Fiction. So for that matter, Samuel L. Jackson absolutely would have been a star at that point. So I don't know why I was. I think it's maybe my assumption that I was thinking of it more. I didn't know how big his part was going to be at the beginning of the movie when his character is first introduced. So I think maybe I was assuming that it's like Goodfellas that he was playing just a small part. But in fact, the movie came out in 1996, 2 years after Pulp Fiction. So people certainly knew Samuel L. Jackson at that point. But yeah, just seeing everybody look young, I guess, is what I was trying to get to there because it's from 1996. And, it's like, yeah, that's 20 years old now, right? So some of those movies are just really good. And then I watched Boogie Nights too, which is also really good. And I feel like I got more out of it than the last time I watched it. And yeah, I'm just rambling about movies now. So I'll go ahead and leave it there, but I'll talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.